Hello again, everybody. Good morning. How are you today? Hopefully, you're feeling refreshed and ready to take on part 14 in this series, which is the drug lure today. Out of this 15-part series that I have been doing for kids ages 8 and older, for educators, teachers, parents, anybody else that wants to share these very important messages to spread the awareness of the type of tactics and lures that predators use. If you've been following along, I'd like to thank you for following this whole time. And if you haven't, please go back and watch all the videos that I have made with regards to this book, and also for younger children, ages 3 to 8. I have done a video on the book called My Body Belongs to Me. So having the hard conversations. My name is Sashim Collicutt with addictedtofear.org. Thank you for joining me. Today, you can see I always have my stuffed animal crew slowly growing. But today I brought a flower that somebody has made me when she was 60 days clean from her recovery of going into a rehabilitation center. So I've worked with people that have struggled with drug addiction and various addictions, but this one particularly meant a lot to me because she made it for me as a thank you. And just know that there's always hope, right? Every little bit helps. Everybody matters. And it doesn't matter what you're struggling with as an adult, and any of these things that happen to you as children, it's not your fault. So I just wanted to mention that. And when she gave me that, I felt pretty special because I was trying to help her. And that's why I do the things that I do. I try and volunteer, and I try and help the people that really need the help in however I can, because I think that's what we're here to do. We're here to help each other and support each other and protect each other and love each other. So, thank you for joining me, and let's get started on today's 14-part session, the drug lure. And remember, at any time, you can pause the video, you can take a breath, you can take a break, you can come back to it. Any of these videos, just always remind yourself that you're safe in the moment and focus on being present. I know some of these are scary. I know some of them are hard to hear. If you are an adult and you've gone through any of them, and you may not have even realized it, that some of these were lures. So, and we're almost done the book. Child molesters regularly use drugs, especially alcohol, to incapacitate, which incapacitate means to where they can't move very well, right? Or seduce their victims. Very young children might be tricked into intoxication. Older children might willingly experiment with alcohol or other drugs. It's a sad reflection on our country that even elementary students are conceivable prey for the lure of drugs. Very much. The drug lure is often used in conjunction with pornography to advance the seduction. I'm going to make a little side note here too. You have to be very careful with alcohol because there are what they call date rape drugs, which if somebody puts one of these little pills into your alcohol drink, that can cause you to lose consciousness, and that puts you at high risk of abduction and all kinds of other problems. Okay, so you have to be very careful, even as an older teenager or, 15, 16, 17, 18, even adults that go to, say they go out and they have, they go to the pub or they go to the bar, they're still at risk, but not nearly as much as children are. Statistics indicate that children under the influence of drugs, especially alcohol, put themselves at a much greater risk of sexual assault, either at the hands of an adult molester or even one of their peers. You remember when I had talked about the same age as me, 15? Yeah, it can be a peer. That's why they call it date rape drugs, and they're easy to put into drinks. This is yet another reason to encourage your child to remain drug-free. And we want to go over what the different types of drugs are. There are what they call street drugs or illicit drugs. There are pharmaceutical drugs, and those are still drugs, and alcohol, and there's all kinds of what people would say different kinds of drugs because they alter your state of mind and your state of being. So you have to be very, very careful. The following red flags of concern could indicate your child is using drugs. You might notice changes in your child's personality, their appearance, their appetite, and sleeping habits. Your child's decent friends drift away. Sudden disinterest in activities and people once important to your child. School marks suffer. Your child displays sudden explicit knowledge of drugs and becomes defensive of drug culture. Your child displays unusual distrust or hostility toward you. Family valuables and cash begin to disappear. If you think your child is using drugs, act immediately. Confront him or her, and if necessary, get professional help. I also want to mention that if there is a drug lure being used and a child needs help, it's not just to isolate the child. It is a family thing that needs to be worked through, okay? We don't want to, people that end up lured into drugs often end up isolated, ridiculed, criticized, ostracized, okay? That's not what we want to do here at all. We want to support them so that they stay safe. Children, this message is for you. By now, you have probably heard about drugs. Maybe you even know someone who uses drugs like marijuana or cocaine. If it hasn't already happened to you, there might be a time when someone comes up to you, probably in secret, to ask you to try to use drugs. They will pretend to be your friend. They are not. Maybe you have friends who have already tried drugs and have asked you to join them. Don't. They will try to convince you to take drugs so that you can feel like a part of the group. And that is what's called peer pressure. If you are a strong person who cares about your mind and body, you will turn them down. You are to be congratulated for that. Good job. I said this in another video, but my son turned down cocaine one time, and he was so happy to tell me that. So the more that we can spread this information out, the more kids we can save from these lures, right? Drugs can destroy your mind and body, and there is nothing good about drugs. In fact, there are many dangers. Using drugs, even just one time, can make you sick, mess up your thinking, take away your skill to be good at things you like, or even kill you. Are drugs worth it? Of course not. In Canada right now, and I think in the US and other places, we have people dying of overdoses on fentanyl, which is an opioid drug. It's found on the street drugs, is what they call them. And I know a lot of people that have been lured into drugs that couldn't get off of them and have overdosed. And this is the other danger. You don't know what you're taking in your body if somebody gives you something, especially a stranger or somebody you don't know very well, and especially if it's a drug. You have to be so careful with what you take and put in your body these days. Here's a tip. Stay away from drugs. Don't touch them, no matter what some person tries to tell you. It's better to lose that kind of friend than to lose your health or worse, your life. Parents, children learn by example. So promote the natural highs in life. Be aware of your own drug and alcohol use. Encourage your child to participate in extracurricular activities, since children with many interests are far less likely to experiment with alcohol and other drugs. Children, do you think you would be able to think clearly if you drank alcohol or took other drugs? Would you be more or less able to protect yourself against someone trying to hurt you? If you are under the influence of any substance, you will be less able to defend yourself. And that's what we're trying to get across here today, okay? Anything that you put into your body can alter your state of being, putting you at risk of all kinds of things happening to you at the hands of a perpetrator. Many times, child molesters try to force or talk kids into drinking alcohol or taking drugs. That way, it is easier to abuse them, and you can also get addicted to the drugs or the alcohol, and then that's another problem. What should you do if an adult or older student tries to get you to take drugs or drink alcohol? Say no, leave immediately, and tell a trusted adult. Kids who don't use drugs are safer, smarter than kids who don't. Get involved in school and community activities and hobbies and crafts, not drugs. Okay. And there's a lot of drugs out there to know about. So just know that if it comes in a pill form, if it comes in a needle form, if it comes as alcohol form, all of those things can be very dangerous to your well-being, especially as a child. So let's get into our practice scenarios for this session. A high school student in Patty's neighborhood wants her to try some pills. The student says the pills will make her feel really good and people will think she is cool for trying them. What should Patty do? The new cool is saying no. Patty should say no thanks to the student and tell a trusted adult about the pills. Yeah. You don't know where people are getting things from, and it's highly dangerous right now because drug dealers using these lures also want to get kids addicted to them because they're usually selling the drugs as well, right? So there's many reasons why somebody would use a drug lure on a child or youth. So, last practice scenario of the day. The football coach invites Bill over to his house to watch a video of football plays. While Bill is there, the coach encourages him to drink beer. What should Bill do? What would you do? Bill should decline the beer, leave the coach's house, my mistake, the coach's house, and report the incident to his parents and the school. Adults who encourage young people to drink or take drugs should set off a child's personal siren. Yeah. And the reason it would be important to tell the school is because it's a football coach. Shouldn't be encouraging any of those types of behaviors on vulnerable children. Right? And remember, it's not your fault. It's not you to have shame about adults acting badly. Right? Okay, thank you everybody for joining me today. Kids, parents, educators, professionals, anybody else that is using these as tools to educate and protect children. So I look forward to seeing you next time. We are on the last lure, part 15, and it is going to be the most interesting because online, when I was growing up, we didn't have the internet. So there's so many more challenges that children nowadays are facing, especially on the computer. So we will go over that one in the next video. I thank you for joining me today. I'm Sasheen Kolakit with addictedtofear.org. Have yourselves a wonderful day. Smile, be happy, find good things in your day. Remember, people love you and want to keep you safe. Remember to smile and feel empowered that you know how to do these things and that you know now how to protect yourself. And you're doing a great job. You're so brave and you're so courageous. I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.